I think today, because of this week being an election week and all of their high anxieties, I don't doubt it. I feel it, and I am very intentional about not getting too wrapped up into things. But it's almost as if you just don't know what to do. So I want to talk about that today. I don't want to, and I want you to see the beauty in some things that are going on right now. So this lesson today, I woke up early this morning, or earlier when I woke up, but earlier this morning, maybe more like 7. I just had some thoughts, and again, just kind of tossing and turning and checking my phone throughout the night to see what was going on, and realizing that my breathing was altered. Then I went to do a couple of things at my desk, and I could see the responses of different people who, I think John Legend's wife said that she was doing some anxiety cooking, stress cooking chicken, and other people were just talking about the things they did to distract themselves from the intensity of this moment. And so I know that I'm not alone, and just saying to you that you're not alone in what this really means and what this has been to many of us. So with all that said, I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get to this lesson. Glorious Father, I thank you for uniting us on this day. Our ears and our hearts are open to know how to deal and how to handle these divisive moments. This energy, Father God, that feels like it's out of control. Feels like it's out of our control, and that is it's a lot bigger than anything that we have imagined in many years. But Father, I thank you that you are in the midst of it all, your great spirit. That even in the midst of what feels bad and seems bad, there is good, there is hope, and there is possibility. Help us to see that. Thank you, and I praise you. In Yeshua's name, amen. So here's where we are. I sent out something to say, to draw you and to join us as we release this powerful word connected to what to do about this present divisive energy. See, one of the things that the worst thing we can probably do, and I know I wanted to, is to avoid it and ignore it, not the person, but it, how we feel, and it about the fact that we do feel, and it concerning the fact that it makes you anxious and fearful, and along with uncertain and displaced and unstable. It's a lot of things, and most of those things have to do with something more dark than light for us. So what I presented was what to do about this present divisive energy, and I want to submit that to you. I want to say that discerning the signs of divisive times calls us to the position of right time and right action movement. So we've been talking about right time, being in the right time, and we've been talking about right action. And so right now, we're being called to that right now. That in this time, we have to come up with the right action. And I'm going to present some things to you today so that it can happen that way. So that we can get our minds on a page of what to do with this divisive energy that seems to just be all over the place, right? So here's some things that I wanted you to know, and that I want you to see how Jesus used division to his advantage. Because I want us to be able to do that. This is not going to be the first or the last situation that throws us off. It's just so huge right now because listen, we've been here before. We've been thrown off by just the people in our household, by family members, by co-workers. We've had times where we've seen a level of darkness or divisiveness or what I'm gonna call just something that I just want to call unnecessary. It just feels so unnecessary, right? So here's what I wrote. My thing. What feelings are you having right now? So that's what I just responded to. And what to do about the present divisive energy, I responded to that. And then here's what I want you, where my mind and my heart went. And it is, how do we manage? And I'm calling it 5 forces, managing 5 energies that want to get our attention. There are 5 things right now that's trying to get our attention. And they're all energy, they're all forces. They're all designed to move us, and they're not all bad. I don't want you, because sometimes when we talk about energy, we seem to focus on energy as if all energy is bad. And it's not true. It's not all bad. So we're going to put all that together today. So with that said, let's go to slide number 1. Slide number 1 is going to answer the biggest question that set all this up for me. Slide number 1, I call this division and disruption. Now remember, I just said to you, how did Jesus use this division to his advantage and what to do about this present divisive energy. So read with me. This is Luke 12:49 through, eventually it's going to go through 56, but right now we're going to go from 49 to 53. Let's read it together. Now this is the Lord speaking. He says, listen, I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose that I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. For from now on, 5 in one house will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Take that down. What I want you to see is, sometimes we see the word division and we tend to just see, not see what division does. In this case, what division does is, what Jesus said is, he said, I'm going to come, light is going to come, and it's going to disrupt every household. Light is going to come, revelation is going to come, and it's going to bring disruption. So the 5 energies I didn't tell you about was divisiveness, disruption, discernment, diversity, and diversion. Okay? And so what was being said in this Luke 12:49 through 54 is this: when revelation and truth and exposure comes, those are disruptive events. Anything that challenges you to change. You know where we are right now? We are still in something, a fight. It's been a fight. The fight to not change has been a fight. This is the fight to not change. And so when the Lord and the Father and the creator of this universe want to change, he had to shake things up. What do you know what he had to do? He had to come into households, because as long as everybody in the household had group thought and a group mindset, and everybody just agreed without discerning, without being honest, then the big picture, and I'll get to that, then the big picture of what the Father plans to do to the earth was not going to happen. It is necessary for division. When remember the Tower of Babel? It was in order for folks not to get stuck in what they believe, not to get stuck in when the world and the earth is evolving and revolving and evolving. Life has to evolve. And you have folks who want things to stay the same. That's why so this is not really a fight about what's right and wrong, about how the freedom of America. So we know it's not about that. It is about folks being afraid of change. It is about, listen, it is the same terror that's happening with the little man that's happening with the big man. I might lose control, and I'm terrified. Because right now, I believe my own illusion. That I can control this. I can keep my illusion of being on top and being number one and being first. No matter what I see going on around me. See, it was easy to be first when there was no internet. It was easy to be the one who supposedly had all the answers when there was no internet. But you know what the internet did for us? In the name of the Father, in the Son, in the name of our God, you know what it did? It opened up the door. It opened up the door for wisdom, all kinds of wisdom. And now we don't have one person's view of things. And once that starts happening, people wake up. So you know what this Luke scripture was about? He shook. It was time for them to wake, to be awakened and to confront. And when I become awakened and I no longer agree with this one way you want me to see things, and I began to question and to say, well, how does something that happened 2,000 years ago, how does that fit into my space right now? See, we forget that if I use the Bible as an example, the Bible said a whole bunch of things in an effort to describe things that no one actually had words for. But listen, today we got the type of energy, the imaging that can see inside the entire body. So you know how much guesswork they were doing when there was no MRIs? So what you had is the best that somebody had in their arsenal to be able to communicate what was going on around them. But now we have a more excellent way to view things because we actually have truth. And we can see those things because the world has evolved into such a space where we have been granted the privilege of knowing what they didn't know, seeing what they didn't see. We live longer. We live longer in this sense because women ain't dying in childbirth like that anymore. So many other things have happened for us, but they only happen because of change. They only happen because closed-minded folks enter into an open-minded space where they had to open their mind and embrace the new. We've been talking about this throughout the weeks, and that was just the importance of knowing what time it is. So we need to discern this time as well, okay? So one of the couple of things that I said that we were going to do is what to do about this present divisive energy, and then how Jesus used division to his advantage. And I want you to see that this does work to an advantage, okay? Another thing I shared with them is, just being aware of what kind of feelings that you're in right now. The world is definitely, we got a lot going on in terms of anxieties and those kind of things. In addition to that, I want to talk to you today about, there's 5 energies that I want to discuss and go over it today. Energies meaning forces that want to get our attention. And we've been talking about managing energies, and I want you to hear this because oftentimes when we're discussing managing energies, we seem to talk about the dark energy and be referring to managing energies that lead us into darkness. But also there is being acquainted with and managing energies and understanding what you're dealing with. And there are good energies as well. So I want to make sure that we keep our minds open that way. So with all that said, let's start again. Slide 1. We're going to talk about some of these energies. I have 5 of them: divisiveness, disruption, discernment, diversity, and diversion. Okay. So division and disruption. Luke 12:49 through 46. We're going to go through 49 to 43 first. And it says, I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. Read with me, verse 50. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. This is Jesus speaking. Do you suppose that I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. This is Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, but division. For from now on, 5 in one house will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. What I want you to see about this piece right here is just what the next one that says, revelation and exposure are disruptive events. That's what it should say. revelation, and exposure are disruptive events. Take that down. What I want you to see the picture of what Jesus was saying. When I come in with light and truth, then in one household, and some people believe me, and some people don't believe that truth. Some people are open to that truth, and some are not. It's going to cause disruption. See, for so long, what happens is, and I said this earlier, and that is that a lot of what we're going through, it isn't so much about politics as it is about folks not wanting to change. Everything is changing, everything has to change. And in order for the new to come in, there has to be a shakeup, a disruption. And so there had to be this, so here's this disruption in these households, because what Jesus said is, I came to bring fire, I came to cleanse. That's what fire is. And baptism, that's a cleansing. Whether you're being cleansed by water or cleansed by fire. He said, I came to bring a cleansing. But in order to do that, I have to agitate this group thing. I have to agitate this we're first and we're the best. And we're the only one with the answers. See, I like the way Obama said it when it come to the Black Lives Matter movement. He said, Black Lives Matter, no more, no less. See that? This is what we're talking about. This is not about other people not mattering. It is about when it comes to where the Spirit is taking us, no more or no less, no matter what your ethnic background is. And the world has lived off of some kind of rule, unfortunately, that thinks that lives as if the darker you are, the further behind, the lower. That's not God's intent. And you'll see that. So here, this is what's happening with this situation with Jesus. He came in, and there was people who was used to a certain way. You know what kind of way they were used to? They were used to just being with their group and their group only. And Jesus was coming in to shake that up. And sometimes in order to shake up cliques, you have to, someone's mind has to be awakened. Someone has to begin to doubt that this is right. And so what he's saying is, guess what? When I come in, things are going to be disrupted. Revelation and exposure. Because as long as we only know one way to do things, then we keep going on as business as usual. But technology changed that. See, technology allow us to see other enlightened teachers and not just Western theology and this one way. It allow us to study. No one can keep books from you anymore. No one can keep information from you anymore. Now, what can happen is that folks can tie your mind on conspiracies and keep you away from critical thinking, rather than keep you on conspiracies and away from critical thinking. Keep you from believing that you can, from the patience it takes to learn new things and embrace new ideas. I said this before we were interrupted by the internet, and just talking about how much things have changed. And if I use the Bible as an example, what you have in the Bible is what people, the best they could describe their experiences. But now we have an excellent way. We have MRI. We have CT scans. We have things when it comes to illness and sickness and disease. It still has spiritual roots, because one part of us affects another part of us, or another function that we have. I should say it that way, because it's all one of us. And so somebody turn your stuff down, whoever that is. And so guess what? Now we know better. So you mean to tell me that right now you would not take the advice or the information or the learning and all of that stuff that we receive from an MRI for this particular growth? Would you really try to stay the same and have somebody doing guesswork on what your condition really is, doing treatments on you that were unnecessary? All of that changed because we evolved, because of diversity, because of new, because of division, because someone else stopped being afraid of what somebody else told them to be afraid of. And Jesus said, I came in and I shook that up. And I allow people in one household to have their own mind and to think their own thoughts. But at first, they weren't going to do that because they only know what they were taught and they were only doing what they were taught. And the blessing is that he was preparing all of us. He, the great spirit of truth. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a particular religion. I'm talking about the Father. And I'm telling you that it opened the door for us to see what we could not see, or what they could not see. And now we get to see some of those things that they could never have described because they didn't have access to this level of technology. So Jesus came in here, and with exposure and revelation, they disrupted these people's lives. So when he says, I came to send fire on the earth, when I came to awaken folks. I came to open their minds to a truth that they couldn't see because somebody told them that everybody who wasn't like them was their enemy. And was that xenophobia was running rapid. And folks would just believe whatever somebody told them because they didn't have access to things. But we do now. We do now. And we can make good on these new things that are in our spaces. But guess what? What's the biggest fear? Not being in control. What's the biggest fear? Not knowing what's getting ready to happen next. None of that is new. Even your own Bible tells you that, talks about the person who says what they're going to do tomorrow. And he said, no, the best way you want to say it is, Lord willing, I'll do this tomorrow, if it be God's will, if reality allows it. See, listen, somehow we're fighting each other, but this is about a virus. And because we can't control the virus, we take it out on each other because at least we believe we have some leverage in that. So everybody, kind of get all worked up over something when the real situation in the room that's causing the havoc and the big problem is that there's a virus and we haven't figured out how to lock it down. And so we're pointing and blaming and pointing and blaming and pointing and blaming both sides. So then it says slide 2. So we just finished on division and disruption. So disruption is good. Then verse 54 says this. Then he said to the multitudes, read it with me. Whenever you see a cloud rising out of the west, immediately you say a shower is coming, and so it is. And when you see the south wind blow, you say there will be hot weather, and there is. Hypocrites. You can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that you do not discern the time? This is Luke 12:54-56. Then I want you to read the same one in Matthew 16:2-3. It's on the slide. Here we go. Read it with me. He replied to them. This is when it is evening, you say it will be fair weather. For the sky is red, and in the morning it will be stormy today. For the sky is red and has a gloomy and threatening look. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the time. So there's two things here. Take that down. What we see here is there are two ways you're looking at something and you see the appearance of it. And he says, here you go, and you see the face of the sky. And in Matthew 16, it says that you can interpret the appearance, but you cannot interpret the sign. When you to discern something is to separate it thoroughly. That means you got to have a bit of critical thinking. When I teach how to study the Bible for 21st century living, I start off that book with lessons in critical thinking for this reason. See, critical thinking means that when you're looking at something, you got to ask yourself, is this true? Totally true? Is what I'm looking at sometimes true? But sometimes things are just circumstantial. So you don't need to put a period where life has put a comma. Is this totally true? Is this sometimes true? It's kind of four different parts that you consider when you're looking at something. Because we have the tendency to want closure so badly, or to want to be right, that a lot of times, oftentimes, we don't search for truth, we search for agreement with what we already believe. And critical thinking says this: I am not going to search for agreement for what I already believe. I'm going to be open, and I am going to honestly search for truth. I'm not searching to do something with this dissonance, this feeling, this feeling of disharmony inside. And I just want to stop that. Even if I don't have the truth. So discernment is about separating thoroughly. Discernment is not just knowing something. It is understanding. It is sitting with it. It is allowing it the proper space in your life to challenge you. See, when you're a discerning person, you don't just discern about others. You don't know others so well. And you already know that, because you'll know yourself that way. But discernment requires you to be honest. And this is why when Matthew 7, in my opinion, when Matthew 7 says, listen, why are you trying to remove the splinter in your brother's eye when you have a beam in yours? Take care of your thing first. Then you will be in a better position to help someone else out. That's discernment. Then you'll discern right time, right action with other people. Because you yourself, in your own process of deliverance, of dealing with mistakes and dealing with the falls that come with trying. See, you'll learn something about human beings. That human beings aren't always right, and that good human beings sometimes don't make the best decisions. But the beautiful thing about doing it that way is if you do it in the way of truth and grace, you also learn compassion, because you show compassion for yourself when your own thoughts begin to judge you. So discernment is about separating something thoroughly. Listen, this is not a half something job. This is not a cut corners quick fix. This takes full engagement. That means I'm going to discern with using my mind. I'm discerning using my heart. I'm going to be honest about my emotions. I'm going to be honest about the appearance of things and how I really feel. And when I'm able to do all those things and cover the totality of me, not judging me, nor justifying. When I'm able to do that with the totality of me, discernment, I'm mature in the area of discernment. What else do I want to say to you? Interpret. Then he says, one says to interpret it, another translation says you discern it, and another one says that can you interpret the appearance of the sky? And it tells you to interpret the appearance and the signs. There's two things. It's the way things look, and then it's why they're significant. See, when you begin to understand the signs, you have to open your heart and mind to wonder. Wonder means that means possibility. That means that you have to open your heart and your mind to the fact, to the possibility of things changing, you losing control in your mind, but going through that door. See, wonder is a matter of uncertainty, but it's not dark. It's the energy, the good energy from uncertainty. There's a fear energy from uncertainty, and then there's a faith energy connected to uncertainty. And that faith energy is wonder. It means this: you approach even the situation that you don't get with beauty, with possibility, with divine intelligence. A creator who has the ultimate goal to restore things back to his original intent, not ours. To restore everything, not humans only, every created thing. But we'll get to that. So when you are told to discern or interpret the signs, this is now supernatural. It's not appearance. It's the other way of seeing. It's the other truth, the real world. Let's go to slide number 3. What do I want you to understand when it comes to this divisive energy and the dark side of it? Darkness, listen, for what's going on right now, darkness has limited vision, and I want you to know that. I want you to know, and so first of all, you already know that darkness has limited vision in the real world. You know that a dark room, you can see less in a dark room than you can see in a room with the lights on, right? Clap your hands if that's true. So we know that anytime your vision is obstructed by something dark, it's your vision, there's a limitation to how much you can see in a room. If you only have light on one side of the room and not in the whole room, then you can only see the areas where the light is, because darkness has limited vision. And I'm saying this way because I want you to get it in your heart and your mind about what all of this really is. And the dark side of it, it has limited vision. It's not pure light. It's not the biggest thing in the earth, even though, unfortunately, if I'm talking about elections and all of the bickering that has been happening, it has dominated the space. But there are other things going on in the world, you know. We just don't get to see them if we look at the television or the news. We don't get to see the other things in the world. So here we go. Slide number 3. Sorry about that. Darkness has limited vision. Read it with me. 1 Corinthians 2:7-9. This is what it says. No, we speak of God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden. There it is. Listen. God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began. Listen to me. Take that down for me. See, right now, you see the vision. Right now, when you read that scripture in Luke, you saw the vision. But what the Lord understood was this: I'm cleansing, I'm baptizing, I'm purifying, but it's disruptive. And because we are so wired to choose pleasure over pain and to run away from pain instead of allowing some discomfort and pain to reveal a message to us, a deep message, and help bring up something that's that secret wisdom that's buried behind all of that fear. So there was a secret wisdom. And the rulers of this age and of that age, they don't understand. But that's not for them to know, that's for you and I to know. We ought to know that darkness has limited vision. It is not declaring the pace of the whole world. It's not declaring what the plans of the Creator. It's only dealing with right now mess or right now decision. So let's finish reading. Bring that back up forward. So it says this: now we speak of God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began. None of the rulers of this age understood it. This is that age, but this ain't nothing but a cycle. This is going to happen again and again. But you need to know this. Listen, they don't know all of what the Father is doing. They don't know everything that's in tomorrow. They don't even know how the Lord, in this case, keep that up, don't take it down, how the Lord, in this case, was going to use the vision to his own advantage. I'll get you there. Just hold tight. Here we go. Verse 8. None of the rulers of this age understood it. That's secret wisdom. For if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. However, as it is written, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Take that down. See, those rulers back then are just like the ones now. Listen, folks only know what they know. The same way back in the Bible, that this is why I try to tell you, oh, come on now, you got to come up to the 21st century. Folks could not tell you how to live today. There are principles in wisdom in the fabric. There are fibers of wisdom in the fabric. There are core truths that are eternal, timeless, and they carry on. But the stuff that's around it in a package that they came in, that's an old package. And it is all they had, burlap, or it's all they had. But we have a better way to handle the same truth from the point of God, not from the point of a culture that went and tried to ambush all the works of the living God. We'll see in 1 minute. But you have to let yourself be shaken this way. What we're seeing in the White House or let me not say that, what we're seeing on the news and all of this back and forth and what feels like, this division, listen, all that bullying, guess what? We're bullying at home. It's just huge because it's on television. And it affects more people. That's why I want to tell people, listen, this is how Black lives going to matter. You're going to take your Black self at home and love your family. And respect your family. That's where it's got to start. So by the time we see this, feel like we're being bullied or, something is strange, come on, that ain't the first time you experienced that. And ain't no sense of flipping my wig over somebody else's bad day, bad year, and then I'm going home and Black lives don't matter to me. See, Black lives matter no more, no less in God's eyes. But depending on what side you're on, you can be offended. Why be offended? Why? How am I better if I put you under my foot? How does that make things better if you hate me and then I hate you? How does that make it better? How does that usher in the change and then bring us into the abundance? Not, I'm not talking about change in your pockets. I'm talking about your own, you being the currency. You are the value. You are the most valuable thing. You are the works of God's hands. The rest of this stuff will go down. Has one life. And it's over. There's no spirit in that money. But somehow we keep trying to fight evil with evil. And I'm not telling you to be passive. I'm telling you, don't let something else change who you are Because that's when you truly lose. You know, I had a situation happen to me, and it was rough. I'm not gonna say what it is, because I said it enough time. But this is what I realized. Oh, I was just so saddened, and because I thought we were better than what happened. That's how I feel about the world right now. That situation taught me so much about life. Because the reason why I was so vulnerable to, because I just knew we were better than this. We were, that me and this group of people, we were better than that action. But this is what I declared when it was over. You can't have my whole life now. You got about 2 years of my life here and there where I was frightened and scared and didn't know what was going on. But the day my situation ended, it was December, it was totally ended. Because one more thing kept coming up. It was in December 2016. The day that I knew that from lawyer to judge to other people that I was through with all of that nonsense. I cried so hard because of the freedom that I had. I felt like I was being chased by people. And in 2017, I wrote a book during our 21-day fast. I did a devotional book because that was my response to getting my life back. And I don't let anything take my whole life. And I tell this to anybody who has ears to hear and willing to listen. When they come to me telling me what somebody did to them, you gonna give them your whole life? They're gonna have an effect over your whole life? And that is my attitude, and that is what has to be our attitude. So what he's saying here is, listen. So darkness, I said to you, has a limited vision, and no eyes have seen, and no ears have heard, and no mind has perceived. Stop acting like people know everything about you and anything you're going to do. You don't even know that. But if you can be moved by the good force, if you can find that in there, because both of those things are going to show up. Those options are going to show up. And if you can reframe this situation, this is what I'm doing today. If you can reframe this situation, as Joseph said, guess what? I'm not letting my brothers who threw me in a hole to die. Then the what was it? The cupbearer and the baker, they disappointed me and let me down. Then Potiphar's wife came and tried to accuse me of something. That could be a story that he said that he made the big part of his life. But you know what he said? And that's where I hope we get to. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. See, what you thought was going to destroy me, God understood that was going to push me into purpose. And that many people's lives were going to be changed because I went through this right here. See, this, when you're ready, you have the power to do this. Not lie, not override, not be phony, not be fake. I'm talking about it's real. But we got to get to those things deep down inside of us. Let's go to slide number 4. I said in slide number 3, darkness has limited view. And slide number 4, darkness has a limited view, has a limited perspective. John 12:20-24, read with me. Jesus replied, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. I tell you the truth. Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. See, Jesus understood this. You see dying, but I see that what this is going to do for people. I see that many something's going to come out of this one situation. You see loss, I see multiplication. See, darkness has a limited view. It sees the vision, I see diversity. See, I see We have been shaken and shook, as the young folks say, out of our complacency. And even back in with what once Hillary went through her situation, look how many women just said, you know what have I been doing? Oh no, that woke folks up. This woke folks up. Look at all those people out there marching. That's why I wish you would stop looting. And I wish you would stop trying to burn stuff down. Because it is a wake-up call, except when it wakes you up. Unfortunately, whatever kind of energy was dominating, because listen, anger is not all bad. Anger can be passion. Passion is fire. And that thing can make you get up and do what you wasn't doing, because this is how you say, oh, they must have, oh, okay, Beyonce said they must not know about me. What is she saying? Oh, no, wait a minute. What is this? See, this is an awakening. It's the vision that disrupted our complacency. And right now, that division is still out there and it's still being talked about. But don't you lose sight of what was the many seeds that was produced because of what we've seen happen. But that's what I said in the beginning. These things, this is how I said it. I said, I shared that there was five energies that want to get our attention. This is about getting your attention, hooking your attention. If the dark energy and the aggressive, no, I won't say aggressive, if the destructive energy gets to you, then gets your attention, then guess what's going to follow your awakening? Destruction. If the empowering energy gets your attention, guess what's going to happen? Empowerment. So I'm calling all leaders, and I'll tell you what I mean by that, to stand up and say, listen, let us get our vision and our view. Don't be afraid of this darkness. As limited vision, we're much bigger than that. We're much better than that. So we talked about slide 4, and we talked about, what was that? Let me get back to my something. Darkness have a limited view. Slide number 5. Here's true energy. Division and diversity. Read this with me. Listen, this is what I want you to get in your heart. Don't make the division of what's going on. Don't make the division bigger than the show of diversity that came out of it. Listen, division gives you 2 sides. Diversity gives you many. You understand? When you divide something in half, you have 2, if you look at it as wisdom, you have 2 ideas, but diversity brought in the wisdom from all kinds of cultures, from all kinds of upbringing, from introduce all kinds of ideas and new things to awaken us, fill us in some empty spaces that these 2 sides wasn't big enough to fill. So don't you lose sight of what this looks like. Because along with all that division we're talking about, there's a lot of diversity. There's a whole lot of other people who said, oh, no, we are better than this. And this is no longer about race. This is about accountability. This is about love, compassion, and integrity. This is true, being a true patriot of what America is supposed to stand for. But what am I saying to you? That something's trying to hook your attention. And because fear sells, it gets your attention, this is where we end up going. But anyway, let's keep going. Division and diversity. What am I saying? Division gives you 2 sides, right? Diversity gives you so many. Let's talk about diversity. Slide 6. We're going to read Nehemiah 9:19 through 20. This is what it says. Read it with me. Yet in your manifold mercies. Manifold means abundant. Manifold means more. Manifold means variety. It can have all those kinds of meanings, okay? So just think of this. He said, read it with me. Yet in your manifold mercies, you did not forsake them in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud did not depart from them by day to lead them on the road, nor the pillar of fire by night. What he's saying is, in your manifold mercies, the different things you were willing to do to bring us out. The way, Father, you poured on all kinds of resources. It wasn't just this and that, and this one way, and this person felt that way. No, you open to use whatever you want to use. Why is that? Because all this is created by you, but we'll get to that too. Yet in your manifold mercies, you did not forsake them in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud did not depart from them by night to lead them on the road, nor the pillar of fire by night to show them light and the way they should go. You also gave your good spirit to instruct them. He said, listen, I got many ways to get you to your destiny. And a presidential election is not bigger than my plan for you. It's nice and it's necessary to some degree, but it ain't the only thing happening in our lives. And it ain't the limit of good and bad. It just is. But the distraction is what I'm concerned about for me, you and I. Let's slide 7. Still talking about manifold. Psalms 104:24. What variety there is in your work. Listen, that's diversity. Diversity brings variety. A variety of wisdom, enlightenment. You know, we love doing yoga, but we do know yoga was a spiritual thing connected to a religion. Now, they don't see it as religion. They may see it as a tradition, but we would call that a religion. And we have all of these things that's come in and made us better. But guess what? When somebody didn't allow them in because they told you to be afraid of somebody that's not just like you, you lost and I lost. And the Father understood we will continue to lose if diversity, if the manifold wisdom of God from the 4 corners of the earth did not find itself in our space. And the internet helped us do that. There's some junk to come in too. But guess what? Technology and advancement of some of these things, like I said, the MRI, the CT scan, many of lives have been saved. Many of diseases have been caught and stopped before they took somebody's life. All of that right there opened us up to a bigger world. See all that division you see, like that world is too small. Don't let a group of people make you think that they are the group and stronger than everybody. No, we know that doesn't make sense. Who's falling for that anymore? Nobody's falling for that anymore because we now have access to things we didn't have access to. So we had to believe the small stories as if they were big stories. But that old book and that old history is constantly being rewritten by truth. I got a set of encyclopedias up on my shelf that I kept keeping. I said, let me find out what to do with these. Because some of this stuff ain't even true. I wouldn't want my granddaughter to have. But did I know that when I paid all that money with my broke self back then for a whole set of encyclopedias? No, I didn't. But guess what I discovered along with you? I need to toss those. That's why in academia, you will see that there was a word edition 1, edition 2, edition 3. Because guess what? People understand. You know what? When I said that, I was speaking from all I know. Now that I know more, I'm going to do another addition to this because I'm going to add to this. We're so afraid of that because we want rigid so we can control. We want rules so we can control ourselves or control other people. And that is what the Lord, that's what Yeshua came to disrupt. So wait a minute. do's and don'ts and do's and don'ts and do's and don'ts. You know, what is this? People are not having the opportunity to think their own thoughts. That means I don't get the use of that beautiful mind because it's locked down by you or by a human being. Said not so. I got to shake some things up because folks don't know that I'm in them and how well they're made, and that they are my wisdom. And every time you keep your light on, the world sees my wisdom. But I'm going to show you. Come on now. Slide 7, I'm going to finish reading. Don't put it up. It said, what variety there is in your works, Adonai. How many of them are in wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creations. What do you think he's talking about? The earth is full of his creation. But you know what? Somebody decided a long time ago, listen. I just want us to get to the point once and for all to just let the nonsense sit. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the nonsense just hit the floor. You had people who said because you had this amount of black in you that you wasn't human, but they had sex with you and had babies and they called them their children. Two kinds of crazy. You can already see the ridiculousness in someone. Guess what? If you have sex with somebody and they have another human, you know you're having sex with a human. Because everybody who went out there and decided that they was going to do something in the area of bestiality, they have not produced a son or a daughter. So for somebody to claim to believe that they didn't know a group of people was human, it's foolishness. It's foolishness. And you're not going to make sense out of nonsense. You know what nonsense is meant to do? Is to have you tied up trying to make sense out of it so you'll never get to your own destiny. Don't make no sense out of nonsense. They knew better. When people dealing with younger, we all know better. But folks just try to do that dissonance and try to justify. Listen, let that stuff hit the floor. It's a waste of your time and mine. It's a waste. You know it's a lie. Don't argue with the lie. It'll never become the truth. And when you have somebody who is stuck on what they're saying, you can't convince a person against their own will. They'll be in the same opinion still. But what happens when we find ourselves doing that and allowing somebody to change our narrative and call the truth a lie and a lie a truth? Then on television, every station wants to keep repeating the lie. And then he said this, okay, enough. Is there anything else going on in the world that you can tell us? Because I would love to know. I don't need to know that somebody told 20,000 lies. You got me at 10. I was done at 10. I was praying for you at 10. I was hoping for whatever it is that makes you think that's the only way you can get your point across. That as a fellow human being, that whatever that is, I just hope it goes, because everybody has something to offer in the space of light. Okay. Listen. Slide 8. Ephesians 3, 8-13. Read it with me. To me, this is Paul, the least important of all God's holy people. Now this is where it gets beautiful. To me, the least of all God's holy people was given this privilege of announcing to the Gentiles the good news of the Messiah's unfathomable riches. You see that? Unfathomable riches. He said, I had the privilege to go through another group. I am right now working on diversity. This is what he's doing. And don't nobody want him to go do it, because even back then, his little group wanted him to keep it with them. I remember seeing the Bruce Lee, take it down for a minute. I remember seeing a Bruce Lee documentary recently, and what they show is that the masters, kung fu, was they doing kung fu, karate, no, kung fu masters, I'm calling kung fu masters, did not want him to teach other people the Chinese way of martial arts. So he too had to go through a whole bunch of something, because somebody was trying to hold on to something that God wanted us to share. It wasn't ours not to share. Wanted us to share. And so it's the same old, same old. Somebody saying don't go and let somebody else improve. Keep it to ourselves, because you think, listen, go ahead and keep it to yourself. It is going to be, it's like the iPhone. Go on, keep your iPhone 3. Ha! You can't even find a cord for it now. Listen, you will be left behind. See, the world is still moving. You trying to hold on to something old. The world ain't caught up in your illusion. That as long as you're holding on to it, you still dominant and dominated. It's not true. This is why all accountability was thrown to the wind. Because what the Jesus you preach in the Bible we talk so much about is saying to you is, listen, I'm changing things. My goal, this was not my goal. My goal and my intent, my manifold wisdom, my intent was for the world to know a variety of wisdom, to know all that I had to offer in every human being. Not just you. Forcing your way on up first. The first will be last at some point. And you can bring that kind of energy in your space. Why you gonna be last? Come on, be the first one to get an iPhone and don't buy another one. Come on, you gonna be last. Because technology and everything is moving, is improving. And it's trying to improve this world and bring us to the space, all working in conjunction with the great spirit of the universe, to awaken us all to our true worth and value as human beings. Dignity is always going to be important if we're going to get to that value. Listen, let's put it up now. Slide it. Here we go. To me, the least important of all God's holy people was given this privilege of announcing to the Gentiles the good news of the Messiah's unfathomable riches, and of letting everyone, say it with me again, and of letting everyone see how this secret plan is going to work out. Listen to me. Paul said it's God's intent that everyone knows. And I'm not talking about preaching and you going to preaching and recruiting people to Christianity. That's not what he's talking about. This is not about that unless your Christianity means freedom and truth and grace. But if it means a label, and you own my thoughts and I can't have my own, then keep it. Keep it. If my wisdom doesn't matter at all, keep it. Because that is not God's intent. Let's go back to it. Got me sweating. Listen. And letting everyone see how this secret plan is going to work out. This plan kept hidden for ages by God, the creator of everything. Not one group, everything. The creator of everything is for the rulers and authorities in heaven to learn through the existence of the Messianic community how many-sided God's wisdom is. He said, my intent is for people to see through everything I made. Wisdom, my wisdom, through everything that I created. Come on now, verse 11. This accords with God's age-old purpose accomplished in the Messiah, Yeshua our Lord. In union with him, through his faithfulness, we have boldness and confidence when we approach God. And that freedom that you're going to get to not have to abandon your culture for another culture. You don't have to do that. We can share. Listen, In union with him through his faithfulness, we have boldness and confidence when we approach God. So I ask you not to be discouraged by the troubles I endure on your behalf. It is all for your glory. This is all for your glory. This is why something wants to get your attention somewhere else. This is all for your glory. This ain't for you to glorify other people. This is all for your glory. This is what something is trying to keep from you. Because when you get here and you see these riches and they get into your space the right kind of way, and you come into fullness or full engagement, guess what? You're going to find your path. You're going to know what it's like to stay on your path. You're going to know what an obstacle to your path looks like. You will have the wisdom that's necessary to know what's not for you. All right, slide 9. We're still in Ephesians 3. Here we go. You ready? Verse 14. For this reason, I fall on my knees before the Father, from whom, see how I capitalize that, every family in heaven and on earth receives his character. You see that? I fall on my knees before the Father, verse 15, from whom every family in heaven and on earth receives his character. Do you see that? I pray that from the treasures of his glory, he will empower you with inner strength by his Spirit, so that the Messiah may live in your hearts through your trusting. Also, and I'm talking about the Spirit of truth, also, I pray that you will be rooted and founded in love, so that you, with all God's people, will be given strength to grasp the breadth, the length, the height, and the depth of the Messiah's love. Yes, to know it, even though it is beyond all knowing. Why? So that you will be filled with all of the fullness of God. Listen. Now to him who by his power working in us is able to do far beyond anything we can ask or imagine. To him be glory in the Messianic community and in the Messiah, Yeshua, from generation to generation, forever. Amen. What do I want you to hear? Listen, let me tell you why the verse is important. Because when you get to learn from other cultures, and you get to be blessed by the wisdom of other enlightened men and women, that is how you get full of me. That's the fullness of me. If you only had one part, that's not the fullness. That's a part. That's a piece of something. That's why it may be one body, but there are many parts. And that one doesn't mean I have to look like you, talk like you, have what you have in order for me to be worthy. What am I trying to say? Worthy and effective. That's the mess and the nastiness of that spirit, that energy. But if they had known, see, listen, nobody understood that diversity was going to galvanize nations and that beautiful minds all over the world were going to put their heads together and say, what do we do? Not just different shades, different heights, different hair color, different eye color, different religions, different spiritual backgrounds was all going to come together under one purpose. You ain't see that? So the goal is that you and those of us who to pay so much attention to this division that you don't see the diversity that was birthed out of this division. That this disruption woke up love and compassion and the desire to give and to help and to heal. And the only reason you don't see that because the news has become a part of the reality TV sitcom. And we can't get another conversation in. Why? Because of ratings. Because if the news start talking to us about all the other stuff that goes on in the world, guess what? Advertisers know that viewers are already caught up in the gossip talk. They ain't gonna look at your news or at your channel. So our advertisers gonna take our money somewhere else. And everybody now is held captive Our great thinkers are held captive by this. I'm not saying what I would do. I don't know that yet. I haven't thought that far. But I do know this. If you wanted to do something else, you're not going to do it. America needs to know, listen, America, we are vomiting. We have eaten this stuff, fed on this stuff. Now, guess what? We have no choice. We have no choice but to look at Jerry Springer all day long. I didn't look at reality television when it was popular. It was dominating the channels. Now, in order for me to know what's going on in the world, I got to subject myself to reality TV, Jerry Springer. People jolting and talking about each other and fighting and bickering and he ain't this and somebody's that, called each other's name, talking about people's hair. Wilding out because somebody had a bug flying their head. Oh my God, what is this? Listen, this thing is hooking our attention. It's dumbing everybody down. How do you do it? You got to starve this thing. But we're not. We're feeding it all the time. See, listen to this. What's the bottom line with life and where it is? Listen, someone's desire to be first is not new. Okay, that's where we are. Somebody wants to be first. No such thing. No one gets to make themselves first, unless they, colonization, this, all that. But guess what? With the onset of, the diversity and ability to travel and go to other countries and see other people, compassion. There was some greed that came in, but there was some compassion too. But guess what? We want to focus on the greed. So we think that's all it is. Then our children come home and we talk about this, that, and the other. They don't know about this other stuff because we ain't telling them other stuff because we caught up in the reality cheat in the sitcom. Slide 10. Diversion. See, here's what I want you to hear. Take that down because I forgot to say something. Here's what I want you to hear. When I'm talking about the diversity and the importance of it. See, we all know more, I've said this than before, because we experience variety, right? We all like more than soul food, and somebody likes, have a taste for sushi. We didn't know anything about sushi when I was coming up. Nobody's palate was prepared for that. But it's diversity that did it. It's variety that introduced us to so many good things, not just bad things. It's the manifold wisdom of God. It's the light that comes from every culture. There ain't one culture got the light and other cultures don't have the light. That's foolish. And somebody has tried to make the world believe that, but guess what? The gig is up. Or the jig, whatever it is, it's up. We can Google. We can Google now. We can call internationally now. Folks got cell phones now. We have access now. We don't have to be fooled by this anymore. This ain't about color. This just is about life. So listen. Variety, diversity. I've said this to you before. Human beings beat daily diseases because we are not alike. Because we're not alike, one disease is not gonna come up and wipe the whole world. So I'm telling you why. How did Jesus use this to his advantage? How did the great spirit of truth, of love and life and compassion use this to his advantage? Because it woke some people up from their complacency. And different people's lives got lost in order to see it. But folks got to see it. Folks got to see stuff, and they say, "Oh no." See, the Father, the Spirit of the universe, the great Father knows what He put in all of us. Knows that there's some of him, some of light, some goodness in all of us. And if you put the right thing in front of some people, they ain't gonna stay blind forever. They ain't gonna keep their eyes closed forever. And guess what? The great creator of this universe, of all people, knows that. So all you gotta do is get you in that right room. Let your eyes see something, and you're gonna wake up out of your sleep. And depending on who you are deep inside, you're gonna do something about it. And that's what we've been seeing. But that's not that, but the other rhetoric and the looting and the burning and all of that is taking precedence over something. But don't you let that hook your attention. You rise up and do something about it. Here we go. Now, 10. Thank you all for going with me a little later. Listen, I want you to hear this from me. Reaching your destiny depends on the many being one. I want you to know that. Division, right? Here it is. Listen, diversion. Diversion is an instance of turning something aside from its course. Take that down. You know what this all is about? This fear, this divisiveness, that talk, it is to get you off course. It's a diversion. See, it's not diversity now, it's diversion. It is an instant, what I said, of turning something aside from its course. To have you focus on something other than what is going to be effective and take us where we know we want to go. Listen, so here's what I put. Don't go for the trick. Make your light bigger than the prevailing darkness. Love is the key. Don't go for the trick. Just make your light bigger than the prevailing darkness. And when I say making your light bigger, it doesn't mean your light has to be big. It means it has to be more consistent. See, light doesn't have to be bigger than darkness. It just has to be consistent. It has to outlive the darkness. And if you take a little bit of light and put it in a room full of a big dark room, you're going to see that light. It's going to begin to absorb that darkness. So if you make your light bigger than this darkness, by being consistent, stay on the course. Don't get distracted by this stuff. Don't let it hook your attention and make you think, look at all this division. It is, but it's a lot of diversity. Look at all the women that stepped up. Don't forget that. Don't let somebody make you not see that. With all of that's going on, this is too. It's just not what's being publicized. I'll be glad when it is, though. How did Jesus use division to his advantage? He threw something new in the pot. He shook things up. John 5:2 talks about every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may be more fruitful. He shook it up. He cut some things off. Why? To destroy it? Nope. To make it more fruitful. This is where we are. This shakeup is going to make us more fruitful. That's why the distraction, he's trying to get you to be busy in something else. Here we go. Listen, division, listen to this. Division does not outpace multiplication. Unless a seed falls to the ground, Jesus said this is about multiplication. Division does not outpace multiplication. You understand that, right? See, division, you don't add to something when you divide it. You have one piece and you just keep cutting that one thing into one piece. But with multiplication, you add, more. It's abundant. This divisive spirit, it does not outpace diversity. That's multiplication. That's adding something different to the pot. Division, if you take a one piece of cake, you don't add nothing new to the pot. You just keep cutting up the same thing. Ain't nothing changed. But diversity brings in change. And it brings in the kind of wisdom that's going to be effective that we can use later. And we can pass down to other generations. What else did I have to say? What I say, division does not outpace multiplication. Listen, the peace that comes as a result of disruption and disease is the one that pushes you into purpose. It gives you a meaningful existence. That's why you can't be out here trying to make sense out of this nonsense. Because you know what that means? You're going to put your meaningful existence on the side. And you're going to put all your energy into nonsense, trying to make sense out of nonsense. Here we go. Listen to this. The division that we saw leads to awakening and confronting. These are all pluses. Here we go. The creator of the universe has always been bigger than these two parts. Don't you forget that. This is one, this has a big effect, but there's a whole lot of other things going on. And guess what? You just don't bring no division in your house. This ain't gonna last forever. You know, people don't live for so long. Okay, everybody is going to aspire, and somebody new is going to come up. Sometimes they better, sometimes they worse. So guess what? Remember the story of Mary and Joseph? Guess what it said? Joseph, Herod, came into leadership, and he was a mean, destructive man. Joseph waited until somebody nicer came in and he went back. Okay. Because guess what? Everybody knows. So every now and then, it's just this energy right here. You know, it ain't everything that's going on, as I said before. Here we go. Slide number 11. Destiny. Remember, I told you all those D's. All of this is about destiny. Here we go. You ready? Read it with me. My food, said Jesus, is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. See, keep that up. Don't take it down. See, it's the distraction to keep you from this right here, from destiny. My food, said Jesus, is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. Do you not say 4 months and more? For 4 months more and then the harvest? I tell you, open your eyes and look at the fields. Open your eyes and look at the fields. See, this is me talking to you right now. Open your eyes and look at the fields. Listen, this we says, they are ripe for harvest. There's some other stuff going on here. There's some diversity. There's some people who wasn't united and didn't have a common cause. Now they got a common cause for good. Don't sleep on that. He says, listen, they are ripe for harvest, verse 36. Even now the reaper draws his wages. Even now he harvests the crop for eternal life. So the sower and the reaper, even now, all of this is happening. Take it down. But what's going to stop this? When you get so distracted that you're no longer doing what you were sent here to do. That is love, compassion, forgive, to be a light in darkness. That's what you were sent here to do. And to finish that. Not to get so consumed in this. It's going to be what it's going to be. This is not everything that is happening in the world. This is how Jesus was telling them, guess what? Open your eyes and see the fields. Open your eyes. Don't see that distraction, see the fields. They are right. Listen, say even now, don't put that back up. Listen to how this sounds to your ears now. Even now, with everything that's going on, even now the reaper draws his wages. Even now, he harvests the crop for eternal life, so the sower and the reaper may be glad together. Listen to that. So we may be glad together. Thus the saying, one sows and another reap is true. Guess we're going to do this thing together. But this time, we got more. We're in multiplication, not in division. We multiply. Somebody's divided, but we are multiplying. We are adding wisdom. We are adding compassion. We are learning things that we didn't know. And every time we take this into us, another generation of our family gets this diverse wisdom and this open-mindedness about life in the world versus xenophobia. Listen, this is the power that's in our hands right now. Don't you let this whatever hook your attention. This negative, destructive energy. Here we go. So this is what I have to say. What can you do? What can you do? Here's what I wrote. This moment does not have to catch you by surprise. If you know someone who plans to destroy other people's property, be the bigger light. Come up with a creative way to distract them with your goodness. We've had enough people distract us with their darkness. Let's distract them with our goodness. You know somebody said, man, I'm going to go outside and if this don't happen, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want you to do. I want you to order some pizza. If you know they like pizza, order some pizza. Invite them to your house. Put on a mask. Sit across the room. Come on, John. Let's look at a movie together. What's your favorite movie? Distract them with your goodness. This is what you can do. Come on now. If you are feeling a heightened level of anxiety, stay home. Find something you know you enjoy and do that until the dark cloud passes. What did many of us want from our leaders? What did we want from our leaders? What we want? We wanted them to speak truth and hold each other accountable. This is why we're upset. We say, come on now. Republicans, certain people, not all of them, certain ones. I'm not telling you who should be in the house, who shouldn't be on the house. I don't want to talk about that. But I'm saying is, come on, we thought you would hold them accountable. We thought that you would all these years. You told us how to behave. Threw some of us in jail. We just wanted you to show up like that. And if you had shown up like that, so many people would be alive. So many people would be confused if you had just done during this time what you told us to do. But they didn't. And I'm disappointed. And you're disappointed. But what do we do? Let us be the leaders we wanted them to be. Hold each other accountable. You got somebody talking about going out there and do something crazy. You hold them accountable. You be the leader. That they refused to be to you because they thought they were going to lose something. That's what we get to do. So how did our Jesus, Messiah, handle this? He understood these people have no idea this is so much bigger than them. They think this is about holding on to something and slicing and giving little pieces to the people they want to give it to. God said, no, I plan to furnish the whole world with my wisdom. This is so much bigger than that. And if you can let this word be your food today, if you can let this be the food, let your food be finishing the work and keeping your light on. Then no amount of division or darkness is going to be bigger than the love, the compassion, and the accountability that we're going to show. We're going to be the leaders that we're asking for. We're going to be our brother's keeper during this season right here, because this is meant to get us distracted from a bigger picture. And that is diversity, wisdom, love, compassion, and truth. Listen, I thank you all for watching this broadcast and bearing with us as we had a couple of hiccups in the beginning. I appreciate Nico, the younger, the I'm gonna call him a youth. He's probably about 18 and 19 now, but for doing it. He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, "This is perfectly imperfect. Perfectly imperfect. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. The Creator's not on our time. We're on His. And reality is, it did happen, and anybody who couldn't handle it, ain't nothing you can do about that. But for all of those minds and is that want to show up in this world, they didn't lose. They didn't leave. They stayed tuned. They stayed. They stayed. Just like I stayed and I pushed through it. So I thank you for listening. I pray that you play this message over and over again until it gets in your spirit and it washes you in such a way that you remember why you were here and that you are worth more than the foolishness that you have been seeing over these past couple of months. You stay tuned and in tune so we can get this thing done. Amen. Father, I thank you for bringing us together. I thank you for the tech team, and I thank you for them trying out new ways and doing whatever they could do in order to make sure that this broadcast was available for others to see. I thank you that you are not worried about what we're worried about, and you're not upset about what we get upset about. I thank you for the great truth, Father God, that I experienced in teaching this and studying for this, and I pray that it transfers to those, God, who want to know what to do during these kind of divisive times. I thank you for the honor of sharing your breath and making this body available and this voice available for something bigger than my ego and my upsets and the things that I don't like. I thank you for that. Bless all those who heard, and bless all those who are going to hear. In Yeshua's name.